thank you for joining us on the next episode of Small Business Chat. Joins me today, as always, is Matt. We have lots of stuff to talk about today, involving a little update from one of the last podcasts we did a couple weeks ago. Very cutesy, very demure. She finally got to her senses and started trademarking that name. But somebody else got to it first, so we're going to talk about that. And so just football stuff. Football season just kicked off. I won my last game in fantasy football. Pretty excited about that. There's a lot of stuff to kind of break down today. Matt, how's it going?
It's going fine, but you just reminded me we're head to head this week on fantasy football, so I guess technically should be antagonistic. So kiss my ass, and we're gonna have a good battle this week, right?
Yeah, I kiss my ass too, Matt.
Wait a minute. Okay, so I have to ask, how many points did you get this week?
I had 117 strong. I think anytime you get over 100, I think that's a pretty good week.
Okay, so at least you weren't one of our 130, 140 guys. I think I won with like 84 this week, which is horrific. And I still won because the person, I don't know, I think they must have picked actually Taylor Swift and not Travis Kelce for their team. They're like, no, she attends the game. She doesn't play in the games because I don't know how you get 50 points on your team for whatever. So I got lucky. Who'd you beat?
I beat funny enough, I actually beat my brother.
Yeah.
And it's a great feeling because growing up, he is just one of those brothers that always wants to beat you at everything and always will beat you at everything. So no matter what we did, no matter what sport we played, what game we play, he always beat me. So it felt really good. It felt really good. In my first fantasy league where I run it myself with 14 players counting, and my brother being one of them, and I beat him. So I'm happy about that.
Well, congratulations. I know it's nice to beat the big brother, and it's and by the way, on the side, thank you for inviting me, and because I'm having a good time with it. But I'll be honest with you, if I was a betting man, I would actually put money on you to win. As sad as that is, I would actually be betting against myself. Now, I'm not going to tank it, but I would actually be like, yeah, I'm looking at my lineup this year. I'm like,
well, you did pit Patrick Mahomes in the second round, so
I got Mahomes, and he had Baltimore first week draw. I don't know who he's got this week, but I'm hoping he's got like Carolina. I don't think I'm going to get that lucky. Yeah. On a related note,
going against the Bengals this week.
Yeah, Carolina. The New Orleans Saints just scored again against Carolina, and it's Wednesday. Right? I felt so bad for the New Orleans Saints playing Carolina this week because they must have been exhausted running up and down the field uncontested, scoring all those points. They're like, dude, can someone tackle us so we can catch our breath?
Yeah, sorry, it was a slaughter. So,
oh my gosh, it was like at one point I can remember somebody saying an NFL coach at some juncture turning to his team, and I thought it was very appropriate for the Carolina. Poor Carolina, I love Carolina, but man, they're just like, you are professionals. At some juncture you've got to play like professionals because there's only supposed to be a hair difference between all the teams due to the salary cap, and that wasn't a hair, that was a whole bushy head of whatever the hell it was. But good Lord, New Orleans, that was.
And do you remember
I guess maybe it was all the guys. Maybe it was like their first time going to New Orleans and they like experienced New Orleans. So they're all hungover. I don't know. But, that was
the whole team's hungover.
Ooh, here it is. We'll tie this back in. Maybe they met the Hawk Tour girl because she's now on like a national tour making like 50 grand an appearance or something like that. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, 50 grand. That's ridiculous. Wow.
I think Hard Rock Casino down in Fort Lauderdale paid her. That's what it was reported, like 40 or 50 to like host a party.
Ridiculous. That's crazy.
But yeah, she at least she's being able to cash in on because we addressed her in a previous episode, right? Like, and so she's got her 15 minutes of fame. She's cashing in on it finally. Good for her. All for saying, all for being funny into a mic. I think that's pretty good. And what the hell? I think she's got what we talked about in the morning meeting. She's now got an agent. She's moving to Los Angeles. Maybe this will be her chance at fame and stardom. Good for her.
Yeah, most definitely. And to touch upon the Panthers again, do you remember the good old days when Cam Newton was around back in his prime when he took us to the Super Bowl and lost it? Remember that?
Yeah. That was painful.
What a season that was. I was happy to be a Panther. I mean, I'm not really a Panther, so I guess I'm a Panthers fan by default. Because I live here. But did you see how good Justin Fields played for the Steelers?
I did not, but I've actually sort of supported Justin the whole time. So I know they won. So congratulations. Happy to see Mike Tomlin, turning Justin Fields into a winner because the poor kid was stuck in Chicago and he couldn't develop there. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited about him. I mean, I was kind of skeptical of Russell Wilson. I was just happy Russell Wilson was coming on board because he's technically a seasoned veteran at this point and went to a Super Bowl. So, I'm really was excited for him coming on board, but I know he's kind of washed out at this point. So,
I think he's just getting a paycheck, in my opinion, and that's where he's just making sure he still gets paid because after when he left, I mean, you heard all the stories, and Mike Tomlin is the coach that'll basically be like, yeah, I ain't dealing with that crap. Like Mike Tomlin walks up to his locker and basically says, "Hey, Russ, we need to talk about your performance." Russ be like, "Yeah, talk to my people." I mean, evidently that's what his teammates in Denver reported. Like he'd be like, "Yeah, talk to my people." And they're like, "I'm talking to you right here because you're my teammate." And he's like, "Yeah, I got people for this." So and he'd walk out. Like I don't know if several of his Denver teammates said this. I'm just like, I can't believe it. But again, if anyone's going to whip him back into shape or, shape up a Justin Fields, it's Mike Tomlin. Great coach.
yeah, most definitely. I'm excited for our season. I might actually tune in to watch a game for once.
You guys just have such a bear of a division. You
Yeah.
probably have the most competitive division of football. We got Cincinnati, you guys, Cleveland always thinks they're good, and then they,
Baltimore,
find
this year's gonna
Baltimore,
be pretty good. Even though they
but
lost
then
their first game, it's versus the freaking Super Bowl Chiefs, so it's just like, of course
yeah.
they're not gonna win.
So the question, and then you look up to it's Baltimore lose their first game. Baltimore will not lose many other games because they're stacked. Cleveland may be better than you think. Dallas may just be that good, but they got smacked around open. But the problem is they got Deshaun Watson. I still don't understand why they gave him that much money. After a scandal and everything like that. And then Cincinnati, I think Cincinnati lost too. Oh, actually, you guys, your division for being a good division, I think, yeah. Baltimore lost. I thought since maybe I'm wrong on that one, but Cleveland definitely lost. So you guys are on top of the division standings already.
yeah, I'm really happy. I mean, since again the Baltimore Ravens is probably gonna be our biggest threat this year,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but I think we'll have a pretty good season. And then you have who else do you have? You have DeAndre Swift has gone down for me. I thought he was gonna have a better game than he had for you on the Bears. The Bears just aren't. Did they win their game last time?
They won their game, but evidently it was not
Low
because of
scoring.
like Caleb Williams or scoring. It was just their defense was overwhelming and all that sort of stuff. So speaking of winning games, we talk about the NFL, and do you mind if I tie this into sort of our topic today and just sort of, well, we'll get back to the update here in a little bit, but just to sort of, for business owners, because, the NFL is, maybe we're a week late on this, but, they're back, right? And so one of the things that we were going to talk about was, can you use NFL trademarks in your business? Can you use generally other people's trademarks in your business? What do you think?
If it hasn't been trademarked already, you mean?
No, but can I go out and if I'm a bar or a restaurant, can I just go out and put the official bar and restaurant of the Carolina Panthers for whatever reason you'd want to do that? Sorry. I couldn't even say it straight. But anyways, but do you think you can actually advertise that? Like, sort of going back to the big question, like, can a bar, when they're advertising to have a big Super Bowl party, can they say, watch the Super Bowl here?
I
What do you
don't.
think?
I mean, I think you can advertise watch the Super Bowl here, but I don't think you can trademark it in any way.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a big question, and I think we can sort of, can chew on this.
Well, it's just kind of like how the Olympics, with Logan Paul and his prime drink, he couldn't put Olympics logo on his drink without paying the Olympics something. So I guess it'd be kind of like the same thing, right? Same
Yeah, I mean,
predicament.
it largely is. I mean, because so there are different licenses that are involved and all that sort of stuff. So generally speaking, we know a business can't use another business's trademark, but there are limited exceptions, right? And there's some fun cases about this and all that sort of stuff. But for the most part, if you're using it for a commercial gain for yourself, you've got to be very careful that you don't run afoul of trademark laws, and so people don't think that, well, you're sanctioning this, right? And so, one of the challenges that you have, it's just called fair use, is whether or not you keep within fair use or not. Competitive advertising, you always see Coke and Pepsi using each other's trademarks in advertising, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is allowed because no one is going to actually think that, when you say, well, I'm watching a Coke commercial and they say, well, 4 out of 5 people prefer, what is it? No, it's usually Pepsi. Coke never mentions. We've talked about this before. When you're the big boy in the block, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, there's always there's the big brother and then there's the stepchild, right? And like, so in the industry, it's like it's McDonald's, and then there's Burger King, there's Coke, and then there's Pepsi. There's I'm trying to think of like the other ones. Sorry, Jacob. There's the iPhone, and then there's Samsung. But anyways, you never in the advertising of like the bigger the market leader, shall we say, you never see Coke advertising and mentioning their rival Pepsi, because they're like, yeah, we don't exist. We have our own commercials. You never see McDonald's mention Burger King, but you can always tell who number two or lower is in the industry because they always do the comparison, right? Oh, 4 out of 5 people prefer Pepsi over Coke. Really? That's funny because the market share doesn't show that. But yeah, hey, go ahead, you be you. Um, but they can use that trademark because it's called comparative advertising. So no one's going to believe that Pepsi is actually selling Coke. They're just saying you can use it because you're showing us comparison. Well, that doesn't really apply to a bar or restaurant now, does it? Think when they're using the NFL's trademarks.
Well, I mean, I've seen, for example, like in one of the bars that are actually in my hometown, they have stuff all over the restaurant with other teams' logos on it, like with flags and pennants of the sports team on their restaurant.
Yeah.
They have that, but that's just basically just supporting their teams.
Yeah. And so I think generally you can do it. And I think that when we're talking about like in a restaurant context and stuff, and I think it stems sort of out of this, this case, which is, a long time ago, there was this case, Playboy case, actually. And basically there was a Playmate of the Year that it dealt with, fair use. And effectively what, happened is she was like, she was making an appearance somewhere and she was like, I don't know what her name was. Let's just say Jane Smith. And Jane Smith, 1984's Playmate of the Year and the Playboy Enterprises. I'm sorry, do you know what Playboy is?
Of course, Matt. I've heard of it in the wind. I haven't really looked.
You remember they were under your dad's
I've heard of
bed.
her there.
Yeah. They were a magazine that had naked pictures of people in it, and primarily women, actually not men. They didn't have, that was Playgirl. And so I'd never seen a Playgirl, but Playboy magazine. That's the ones that, you stole from your dad when you were a kid. Anyways. So it is what it is.
But, my dad gave me it. What are you talking about?
Your dad gave it. You actually grew up with the internet. You're so young. So you're like, what are you talking about? I had a magazine? I just searched on my phone for whatever the heck I ever wanted. It was just there in a moment. But anyways.
Dopamine hits.
Yeah, exactly. But so back in the day, there was a magazine called Playboy, and basically the big thing was it went from like the 1950s is when I think it was like founded. And back in the day, I don't think they actually showed naked pictures, but by the 60s, they definitely were showing naked pictures of women, and it was a huge thing up through the 80s. And of course, they struggled once the internet came out, and I think they're still sort of around, but not really nearly as much as they used to be. But they would have like their competition between their playmates, or excuse me, their every month they would have a featured woman in it, and then they would have a competition. Whoever won the competition, and who knows what lascivious or nasty way they'd have to win that competition, I have no idea. But anyways, they'd have Playmate of the Year. But it was a big thing back in the day to be Playmate of the Year, which I guess is I'm the best naked looking person that they had in the magazine. And at some point, this woman, probably like the Hawk Tour woman who's now getting her money, making bar and restaurant appearances, making 40, 50,000 here or there. Good for her. But this woman basically put on her resume or whatnot, Playmate of the Year, 1980, whatever it was. And Playboy sued her, like, hey, you can't use our trademark. And it came down to it. And in essence, the woman won. It created the sort of the rule, which is no, she wasn't advertising herself. She wasn't advertising their services or anything like that. She was just using it sort of in a First Amendment type of way to basically say, no, since I was actually the Playmate of the Year, that's just a fact. So she's allowed to actually use that. So when you come fast forward back to the actually NFL and what we're sort of talking about here, for the most part, the NFL is not going to basically, I don't think they go after, bars and restaurants and things of that nature when they put up, Kansas City Chiefs logos or something in their bar or something, like, so for instance, my son goes to Ohio State and we're going to a local bar here called, I think it's called the Brick House or Brickyard. Do you know which one it is? Brickyard.
Yeah, I think so. It's the Brickyard, yeah. I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, but they sort of advertise it. They do the Ohio State games, and no one's going to go after them for that per se. I know the NFL is a little bit. They like basically getting their money for you out of the Super Bowl, but for the most part, they want to encourage fandom and all that sort of stuff. They're not going to go after businesses for using trademarks. of their teams for bar and restaurant services or something like that. But let's change the scenario a little bit. Those bars and restaurants start selling unofficially, non-licensed T-shirts with NFL logos on it. Wait a minute, this has got real, because they're going to be like, no, 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 wait a minute. We get all apparel that has an NFL team's logo or anything like that. That is infringement. That is stealing money from us, and we basically want to basically get a piece of that. So it's got to be licensed. So really, the dichotomy the business owners have to understand is are you getting money sort of in a tangential way, like, okay, I'm throwing up the NFL and that's okay, versus I'm actually trying to pass off something that's not theirs with their logo on it. So in other words, if they have a competing goods and service, like the NFL's doesn't have a competing good and service to like television, right? They're gonna like let you broadcast it. They're gonna let you like rebroadcast or excuse me, show it in your bar, and that is fine. So hey, we're playing the Kansas City Chiefs here this weekend. Come down, get a beer or whatnot. Now, this could all change if the NFL someday actually gets officially licensed bars and restaurants, which now that I'm saying that, they're probably going to start doing that. Literally just in every area, just have one or two different bars and restaurants that they could license it out to. Then they would probably start saying, no, 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 you guys can't use these trademarks and such, just like they do with the actual Super Bowl. But for now, that would destroy their popularity. But again, so it all depends on what good and service are you using, and how are you using the other person's trademark. If you're just showing their product on a TV at the bar, probably okay. They get a little bit squeamish, with the Super Bowl and such. But if you actually start directly competing with, like, you start putting out a Travis Kelce jersey or something like that from the, oh God, Kansas City Chiefs, sorry, I blanked on it, and then literally start infringing on their trademarks, they're going to come down and say no. So wrapping that up, this full circle, when can you use somebody else's trademark as a small business? So long as you're comparative advertising, like the Coke, Pepsi type thing, Burger King, McDonald's, et cetera, or you're using it just to simply say, hey, I had done this at some point. You're an award winner. You won the Nobel Peace Prize, or you won the Heisman Trophy. I know those are big examples or something like that. You can put that on your resume and you can hold yourself out. Olympic gold medalist. That's a great one. What was the thing they just came back out with? Who are they saying you couldn't use Olympics to? It was one of the Paul guys, right?
It was Logan Paul. Yep.
Okay. And they were saying you can't use Olympic in reference to a sports drink or something like that.
Yeah, his sports drink. They had Kevin Durant sponsor the bottle, but Kevin Durant is in the Olympics, and
Right.
so put Kevin Durant's number and his jersey and everything and the Olympics logo on the bottle, and the Olympics was like, whoa, 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 you can't do that without paying us money.
Right. And so here's basically, so here's the distinction, what I would say that would put Mr. Paul in the right on this. And it's a very subtle distinction. I hope I can make this, properly. So Mr. Paul comes out with that drink and it just says, Olympics on it, Olympics drink or whatever the hell. What was it called again?
The Olympics drink for Logan Paul.
What was the actual
Prime.
what did he get in trouble for?
What did he get in trouble for?
Yeah, why they sent him a cease and desist letter? It was something like he did something with the Olympics and put it on.
No, like I said, he had on the bottle Kevin Durant's like number in his jersey and stuff, and then he had the Olympics logo on the actual bottle.
Okay, yeah, there's so many things that are wrong with that. Okay.
Yeah.
So he couldn't do that. So what he can't do is just misappropriate like the Olympic rings, which are probably trademarked, or like an other Olympian's name, image, and likeness, which is no. I mean, Kevin Durant could even have said, "Hey, you can't do that," and such. But here's what he could have done. Let's assume for a second that Logan Paul had gone out and had become, whatever, a gold medal Olympian, at the Paris Olympic Games, in Roman Greco wrestling, for instance. What he could then do is put his own likeness on that product and say Olympic gold medalist Logan Paul underneath it. And there's nothing they could do about it because that's fair use. Because even though it's technically their trademark, he's just simply saying, as the Olympic gold medalist, basically and this is the product I choose to endorse. And it sort of goes back to that Playboy case, right? So again, it's how you use it. Could Logan Paul just then start branding out like, Kevin Durant's like, name, image, or likeness on a t-shirt and say, okay, Logan Paul's going to do this without a license from him? No. So again, just keep in mind, so your fair use, what you're allowed to do as a small business. Can you use somebody's under trademark? Yes, for comparative advertising, so they know who you're better than, who you're saying you're better than. By the way, slander laws still apply. So you better be able to back up if you say you're the best at this or you're the best at that, or like when they say 4 out of 5 people in a blind taste test prefer Pepsi out of Coke. Pepsi, if they were ever pushed, if they got sued for false advertising, they're going to have to pull out those 4 out of 5 people in that study that shows it, because Coke could theoretically sue them. Why? Who cares? Because Coke still has the market share. They wouldn't care. But then wrapping this back into this would just simply be as, can you use somebody else's trademark? Yes, under limited circumstances, but so long as you're not making it primarily for your own profiteering and you're just trying to pass off your goods underneath their trademark. That's sort of the distinction. Was that somewhat clear?
Yeah, that was pretty
Today?
clear. I mean, when it was start off, I mean, that was one of my other questions, was just like, well, I started a business tomorrow, and one of my businesses was selling jerseys of mine. Let's say I had a huge collection of jerseys, like 100 of them, and I started selling them online. Would I have to pay anybody for those jerseys? Like, other than just obviously selling my jerseys, would I have to pay the NFL just for putting a business out there that has NFL jerseys for sale?
Were the NFL jerseys officially licensed products of the NFL when you purchased them?
Yes.
Then the answer would be no. You would not have to then pay them, because they've already gotten their cut. That those jerseys are out in the stream of commerce, and if you choose to resell them, provided there's a market, you would not be violating the NFL's trademark or other rights by doing so.
Okay, so it's just reselling your own product at that
Correct.
point that
Yeah, once they've gotten, in essence, their money for that, because whether or not you currently own it or not, that is an officially licensed product of the NFL. And once it's officially licensed, they don't have a trademark beef with you actually reselling it. But I think that's a very good question to ask. It's a good subtle distinction. In essence, I mean, just so we know, drawing that into a more mainstream type of thing, that's why there's never any trademark issue when you have a sporting goods store and you're reselling Nike shoes or whatever. Your distributor gives you the Nike shoes and then you sell them because they are the official, products of Nike. Twisting that analogy, you get your Nike shoes from an unlicensed distributor who's actually selling you knockoffs of Nikes that are actually not real Nikes. They have, a fake, the logo looks the exact same, but they're not, from that company out in, where are they at? They're in Washington, right? Washington? Yeah, they're Washington or Oregon. No, they're in Oregon. They're in Oregon. Anyways, I think they're in Oregon. Yeah, that's why Oregon has all their stuff. University of Oregon always is the Nike reps. But anyways, then they have a right to go after you because you're selling counterfeit goods. So long as the goods are actually real goods, officially licensed at some juncture, are sold by the actual, manufacturer, Nikes in this instance we're talking about, then you're good and you're good to resell them.
I'm saying this because my brother, as a joke, when I told him many years ago that I wanted a Troy Polamalu jersey that was signed by him, he bought me a signed Ray Lewis jersey instead.
Yeah,
I have it to this day because he knows I hate the Ravens, but I kept it because it's really nice.
It's worth money. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll be able to sell that someday. So joke's on him. I mean, yeah, thanks, dude. I mean,
Yeah, it was an audit, legitimate. Still have the certificate of authenticity.
I like both those guys.
Yeah, I love.
I like Ray. Ray came from University of Miami, the U, and of course, and I actually don't know where Troy Polamalu played. Probably was BYU, I would guess. And I'm not trying to be too, like, so many like really amazing like people of Samoan descent like played for either like BYU. He may have played for USC. I think he played for USC.
I can't remember.
The Western schools get those guys that are the big Samoan guys. And, Paul Mountain, one of the greatest strong safeties in the history of the NFL.
Oh, 100%.
Just stunningly good. Like, I'm sorry, big. I mean, the funniest thing, he's one of those guys that would like knock your helmet off or sideways, and he'd be like, "Hey, man, great play." You're just like, and that's
for me, I loved it when he would jump over the line so much. I don't think I've ever seen somebody jump over the line like he used to do. Off of snaps and be able to time the pre-snap is crazy.
Yeah, and then going to Ray Lewis, like I always thought, like, and again, I mean this respectfully, because obviously one of the greatest. I mean, candidly, if I had to pick center linebackers of all time, like just all time in their prime league, Ray would probably be my number one pick. I mean, you think about the great center linebackers of all time. But I mean, he just was stunningly good, and for a really long time. I always thought he had chicken legs, though. He was just like a really big guy with small legs,
He
or
was.
sort of skinny legs. You know what I'm talking about? But man, could he fly! And like, dude, he brought the lumber when he hit you. I mean, it was terrifying. So fantastic football player from the U. Go you. All right.
From the
What else we got today?
Uh,
Demura.
yeah, we have a little bit. It's not too much we need to talk about on that one, but really, it's just it talks about since we last talked on our last podcast that she was getting upset because she didn't do anything about her very popular term, very demure, very mindful, and then very cutesy, very demure. So she most recently I would assume she either hired a lawyer or an attorney to start the process, but she's tried to file for it now. So she's filed for it officially, but as I see on the USPTO's database, there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trademarks, all that are very cutesy, very demure, and also very demure, very mindful. So we'll see how she gets with that. Eventually, we'll have probably another update when we hear back from that. But other than that, that's pretty much all I have. Anything else you wanted to bring up, Matt?
No, but one of the things, just a little tip out to everyone, whenever usually there's like a sort of a fight over that type of thing, a little insider information on the Patent and Trademark Office. What they will typically do is they will assign all of those trademarks to the exact same examining attorney. So the examining attorney can examine them all at the same time. So sometimes it's almost like, so if you're like the second or third one in a row to actually file for them, sometimes yours will be examined a little bit faster than the normal speed, shall we say, just because like the ones that are filed before you, they come up, and then it's an old thing they used to call, it's called copend, which basically they'll be like, okay, so let's just go ahead and deal with all of these at the same time. And I don't want to take us too long here, but this generally happens, especially like there'll be one or two honestly sort of lucky examining attorneys down at the Patent and Trademark Office. Every political season, I can guarantee you, coming into this political atmosphere, there are lots of people that are filing political based trademarks for both Vice President Kamala Harris, pro and con, and of course former President Donald Trump, pro and con. And usually those get co-pended all to one person to handle these. So for consistency, the Patent and Trademark Office will usually send this to the exact same examining attorney. So I'd imagine that examining attorney will be ruling on the demur type things at some point in the next couple months, because again, it still takes time for them to get it done. Just one more shout out. If you ever find yourself in a situation like this woman did, we talk about this, the importance of getting your trademark on file as soon as possible and all that sort of stuff. You should get on file as soon as possible. But if you get into a big trademark tussle, or it looks like someone's going to be trying to grab your stuff, get yourself to a good trademark attorney. And again, we don't do that sort of stuff here at the trademark company, but we can help you to get somebody. We do it free of charge oftentimes. And, we have, friends in the industry that we just will, say, hey, this is a good attorney or that's a good attorney. Again, we'll take a look at it. If it's something we can help you with, we will. But if it's not, we'll send you out the door to someone who we know has been doing this for years and years and years and does a really, really nice job for their clients. But in any event, that's all I got. So, hope that, like the Hawk Tour girl, she'll eventually be able to capture back, because she's the one that made it famous. And she's the one that, deserves to basically get the spoils of that.
You mean the very demure?
The very demure one. Yeah, like, because again, like the Hawk Tour girl, we don't know if she's going to basically get that trademark ever. But at least she's getting, she got famous for it and she's getting some money. And again, the very demure woman, she may wrestle over the trademark or whatnot, but hopefully she makes some money off it. And I think she's already making money, because I think you told me she's like a big YouTuber or TikToker or something like that. She's already making tons of money.
Yeah, I would assume she's making a lot of money. I just like how she would with like a Hawk Tour girl, where she's probably going to places and getting paid to go to places just to show up to bring in a crowd. So I bet she's probably making a good chunk of change.
She making money. She making like my Instagram. I follow Britney Spears, and because that was everyone knows that's my celebrity crush or whatnot, or it was and such. And she's like, and I'm just like, people like, oh, I can't believe Britney's dancing around and like scantily clad, this, that, and the other thing, blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but you watching her, and she got like millions of followers, and probably the ads on her account are probably giving her an amazing lifestyle. just because millions of people are watching her dance around her little bikinis or whatever every single day. You know, she did that one with the knives, you know, recently, and people are like, "Whoa, she's going crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, but it probably got her like another million views, you know, and then like it's just even more ad revenue for Miss Spears. So it's just like, all right, good for her, you know, and such. But you know, again, hope this demure woman's able to capture some of the, you know, some of this money and all that sort of stuff, just like Hack Tua or Huck Tua, and of course Miss Spears. But
That's the hardest thing, though. It's like you're almost predicting the future, like if something's gonna be,
yeah,
big or not. So I bet it's. I mean, I've had it happen to me. I don't know if it'll ever happen to me in my
how
lifetime.
about this? And here's a trend. Like, can't you watch? I'm sure most of these YouTubers and these TikTokers and all that sort of stuff, they're watching like the trend of what they say, right? So you say something that's like freaking brilliant and suddenly it starts trending, or you know, we all know things just like suddenly trend on like Twitter and all that sort of stuff, or X or whatever the hell Elon Musk is calling it today. And you know, and so the answer is the minute it starts trending, and I'm sure that they know, like, oh man, this is really trending. Like it's not just like trending for a day, but it trends for like a 2 or 3 days. Throw that trademark application in, like get it in, and like you know, get with a company that can actually get it in for you very fast, you know. So I mean that's I just think that's a really good, you know, because again, these people are getting, I don't understand the business model because I'm old, I'm 53, but you know, like, but I understand now that people are making a tremendous amount of money. Like I said, Britney Spears dancing around in her little, you know, skimpy outfits. Miss Demure basically just telling people life advice, and Hawk to her spitting, you know, or fake spitting onto a microphone, pretending like it's something else, you know. And but then it goes viral and such. But the minute it goes viral, so what is the measure of viralness? But the minute it starts going viral, get that trademark application on file, because then you basically be like, man, I'm locking this down for me. And by the way, trademark applications ain't that expensive, and they're not going to look at them for what, 8 months, right? Something like 8 months. Is that it right now,
6 to 8 months. Yep,
6 to 8 months.
Yep.
And so, but you've still got that intent to use application, and while you're going viral. And then, so when people then come in and try to basically like be selling t-shirts and all that sort of stuff, like, oh, the Hawk to a girl, or, you know, Demure or whatever, with Britney Spears and her scantily clad outfits. I'm sorry, I keep coming back to that one. But anyways, you know, but then you can basically be like, dude, I have an intent to use application. Then your lawyer has a really good footing to stand on when he sends them like a cease and desist letter and say, hey, thank you. You know, all that money you made off those t-shirts with my client's likeness and image on it, or name, image, and likeness. Oh yeah, that one. Go, yeah, give it all to us because it's hers. You know, I don't have a right to put like, you know, whatever, Paul Newman's face on a, you know, bottle of pasta. That's the Newman estate that has the right to do that. I can't put Hawk to his, I don't know, you know, something on a, you know, lubrication product, whatever you can come up with in your own mind, you know. Which, by the way, I still think that's the endorsement she should get. But
Oh, so
anyway,
that's the avenue you think she should go towards?
oh well, yeah, wouldn't you? I mean, literally, that's what she got famous for. I mean, just think where it
Like
basically
WD-40 or something, like,
to a WD-40.
that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, I was thinking a slight different look, but yeah, but yours is good. Yeah, we'll keep it. Jacob, you bring me
It's more
back to
natural
PG.
looking.
Yeah, exactly. We're bringing it back PG here. Okay, but yeah, exactly. So further, I say it not. Thank you very much. I'll throw it back to you, good sir.
Yeah, well, thank you for everyone that's listening. Again, we're very friendly at the Trademark companies. We mentioned a couple of times. The sooner the better you get your trademark on file. I've had a lot of people I've talked to on a daily basis that are wondering when their trademark is protected. I'm waiting to start my business and get my trademark first. When's the best time to get your trademark? When's the best time to protect your business? It's right now or yesterday. Yesterday is better than today, but so get your trademark on file as soon as possible. And how you do that, call the trademark company as soon as you can, so we can do that as quickly as possible for you. I always leave the link in the description right over to our website. So again, thank you for listening. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Thank you.